The phone rang at 7 in the morning just as I was finishing up my edges in the mirror. The screen flashed Bank of America, and my heart did a little somersault. Ish Vance? Speaking. This is the loan department calling. We're reaching out to remind you that the first payment on your personal loan is due in 3 days. The amount is $850. I froze, edge brush still in my hand. Excuse me? What loan? A personal consumer loan for $15,000 taken out 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago I was at work. I have never taken out a loan in my life. This has to be a mistake, I said, feeling my fingertips go numb. I didn't sign for anything. Ma'am, we have a contract with your electronic signature and a copy of your driver's license. The funds were withdrawn in cash. If you have questions, you'll need to visit a branch. The line went dead. Ish? My husband's voice drifted from the living room. You still here? I walked slowly out of the bathroom. Drayton was lying on the couch in the exact same position as yesterday, on his back, laptop balancing on his stomach. Unshaven, wearing a stretched-out white tee. My husband, my burden. Drayton. My voice sounded surprisingly calm. I just got a call from the bank about a $15,000 loan. His face didn't even change. He just set the laptop aside and stretched his arms. Oh yeah, I meant to tell you. 2 weeks ago, someone took out a loan in my name, and he meant to tell me. Ish, look, I took it out for Mama. You need to stop by the bank and deposit some money from your paycheck. Since I'm not working right now, I can't cover it. He said it like he was asking me to pick up a loaf of bread. You took out a loan in my name for $15,000? Yeah. Mama needed her roof fixed urgently. She asked me. I couldn't say no to my own mother. How did you take out a loan in my name without me being there? He shrugged. Power of attorney. Remember those papers you signed when we sold your old Honda 6 months ago? I slipped a power of attorney in there. I remembered. Drayton had brought me a stack of papers. I had signed them without looking. Fool. So just handle the bank, Drayton said, reaching for his laptop again. And call Mama. She wanted something. I grabbed my purse and walked out without a word. The door clicked shut behind me, and I stood on the landing for a few seconds, staring at the peeling paint on the hallway walls. This building, this condo. I had been paying for it for 7 years, pinching pennies on everything, while he lay on that couch telling me he put me in debt like it was normal. In the elevator, I started shaking, not from fear, but from pure rage. 7 years. For 7 years, I had carried this family on my back. I worked while Drayton found himself. I paid the mortgage while he wrote spoken word poetry that nobody wanted to hear. I helped his mother, Althea, who looked at me like I was hired help. And now they had hung a $15,000 anchor around my neck. On the drive to the bank, I replayed our history, how we met 8 years ago. He quoted Langston Hughes in a coffee shop on Peachtree Street, acted romantic, talked about high art, and how money was just a tool of the system. 24-year-old me was charmed. We had a modest wedding. Drayton said it was better to spend the money on his creative materials. His mother, Althea, showed up in a designer dress and complained about her health the entire night. The first year, Drayton worked a little. Then he quit because his boss didn't respect his vision. The second year, he wrote a novel. The third year, he learned to play bass guitar. 4th, 5th, 6th. I lost count of his projects. All that time, I worked. I got promoted, paid off the mortgage on our condo, the one bought with my savings. Drayton was convinced it was ours, while his mother called every week with complaints. High blood pressure, heart palpitations, money for meds, money for groceries, money for repairs. Her disability check from Social Security was decent, but it disappeared into thin air. Every month, I transferred her $300 or $400. Drayton would say, "It's Mama, Ish. She's lonely. She's sick. How can we say no?" I never said no. I never said no to anyone, and that was my problem. At the bank, I asked for a statement and a copy of the contract. I looked at the signature. It looked like mine, but it wasn't. I have a specific little loop on the end of my E, and it wasn't there. This is a forgery, I told the teller. I didn't sign this. In that case, you need to go to our fraud department and the police. Can I ask who received the funds? The young woman looked at her screen. Per the power of attorney, Drayton Vance. Your husband? For now, I replied. I didn't go to the fraud department yet. I needed to think. At work, I locked myself in my office and opened my online banking. The joint savings account, where I had been stashing money, showed a balance of $42. A year ago, there was over $20,000 in there, my savings. I pulled the transaction history. Cash withdrawal, $1,000. Another $500. Transfers to a digital wallet, $200, $300, $400, month after month. $20,000. My husband had drained $20,000 in a year. Isha, you good? Jamila, my colleague, a sharp lawyer and the only person I truly trusted, was standing in the doorway. Come in, close the door. I told her everything. The loan, the forged signature, the missing money. Forgery is a felony, Jamila said, her eyes narrowing. And if he took the money, that's fraud. Wire fraud, bank fraud. He's looking at real time. Can you prove the forgery? I need an expert. I know a guy. That evening, I went home as usual. I cooked dinner. Drayton ate without looking up from his phone. You go to the bank? I did. And? I'm handling it. By the way, what did your mom want? Call her yourself. After dinner, I called my mother-in-law. Ishe, finally. I need some groceries brought over, and I need my prescriptions picked up. Okay. By the way, how's the roof repair going? Pause. What roof? Drayton said the roof was leaking. That's why he took the loan. Oh, that. Yes, it's leaking, but it's bearable for now. The roof can wait. Sure. That night, when Drayton fell asleep, I took his phone. The code was simple. He never hid it. I opened his banking apps. There were 3. The first was empty. The second was overdrawn by $800. The third was linked to an online gambling site. My husband was gambling. I scrolled through the history, and with every line, I felt sicker. Deposit, $500. Withdrawal, $50. Deposit, $1,000. Withdrawal, $0. He lost over and over again, chasing the win. In 1 year, Drayton had lost nearly $20,000. My money. The money I saved for a rainy day, for a vacation, for a better life. My hands were shaking as I took screenshots. Then I opened his texts with his mother. Drayton, Mom, I sent it. Check the app. Althea, got it. Going to look at it tomorrow. I scrolled up. Drayton, Mom, Ish doesn't suspect a thing. She's naive. Just lay low. Let her think the money is for the roof. I found a car. It costs exactly $15,000. A car. His mother was going to buy a car with the money from the fraudulent loan in my name. I sat in the dark, looking at my sleeping husband. For 7 years I had been a good wife, and they thought I was a fool, a walking ATM. But they didn't know one thing. A year ago, my grandmother, Big Ma, passed away. She left me a condo in a quiet part of Decatur. I didn't tell anyone. I handled the inheritance quietly. I had a place to go. I had evidence. And now I had a plan. The next week, I ordered a handwriting analysis. The expert said obvious forgery. I'd have the official report in a week. I called a friend at the DMV to check if Althea had registered any vehicles. The answer came back in 2 days. Althea Vance had registered a silver sedan valued at $14,000. 2 weeks ago, 3 days after Drayton got the loan, everything matched. On Saturday, I went to Althea's house with groceries. In the driveway stood a new used car, a shiny silver sedan. New car? I asked. Took out a loan, she lied smoothly. My old Buick finally gave up the ghost. Had to. A loan, of course. I went upstairs and checked the ceilings. No leaks. Dry as a bone. The roof story was a complete lie. When I was leaving, Althea pulled me into one of those fake bone-crushing hugs. Thank you, Isha. You're pure gold to us. A gold mine, she meant. At home, Drayton was watching football. How's Mama? Good. She showed me the car. Good for her. She needed it. On my money, I thought. A few days later, Jamila called me for lunch. She had been digging through her channels. Your mother-in-law gets disability benefits from Social Security, right? For a bad back? Yeah. Well, Jamila leaned in. That's fraud. Federal fraud. She's healthy. I saw her hauling bags of mulch at Home Depot last weekend. Exactly. The disability claim was filed 5 years ago, spinal issues. But she lifts 50-pound bags? That's serious jail time, Ish. If we can prove she's healthy. Video, I said. I need a video of her doing something impossible for her diagnosis. The next Saturday, I went over there with my phone camera ready in my pocket. Althea was unloading her trunk. Cases of water, bags of soil. This 60-year-old invalid was lifting 40 pounds like it was nothing. She bent, squatted, and twisted without a flinch. Later, over sweet tea, she groaned, "Oh, Ish, my back is killing me. Can barely walk." I nodded sympathetically. The camera had recorded everything. At home, Drayton was nervous, bouncing his leg, checking his phone. That night, I checked his texts again. "Bro, I need 15 grand by Friday. I'll pay you back with interest." "Drayton, man, you already owe me 10. I scrolled further. More debts. 5,000 to one guy, 3,000 to another. Drayton owed people nearly $20,000, on top of the loan, on top of the casino losses. Total damage, 15,000 loan, 20,000 stolen savings, 20,000 in street debts, $55,000. How does a man fall so low? The Drayton who read poetry, who talked about despising money. He was stealing from his wife and gambling it away while his mother defrauded the government for 5 years. They were a family of grifters, and I had been their mark for 7 years. I lay awake until sunrise, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what a fool I'd been. But that night, I made a decision. Not just divorce, not just leaving. I was going to make them pay. Not out of vengeance, though that was part of it, but out of justice. I pulled out a notebook and wrote a plan, item by item, like a good accountant. Neat, methodical. Item 1. Gather all evidence. Forged signature? Check. Gambling records? Check. Althea's car purchase? Check. Fake disability? Check. Drayton's debts? Check. Item 2. Consult a lawyer about asset division. The condo was bought during the marriage, but with my money. I paid the mortgage alone. If I could prove it, the condo stayed with me. Item 3. Prepare an exit strategy. Big Ma's condo was ready. Open a new account at a different bank. Build a stash. Item 4. Strike simultaneously on all fronts so they don't have time to breathe. For the first time in 7 years, I felt strong. Not a victim, but a hunter waiting for the right moment. They thought I would endure forever, that I was a doormat, that an accountant was just a boring gray mouse who only knew how to count other people's money. They were wrong. I am an accountant. And yes, I know how to count. I count every penny, every dollar, every year wasted on these people, and I had already calculated exactly what they owed me. Now it was time to collect, with interest. The sun was coming up, a new day, a new life. Outwardly, I was still the same Ish, making breakfast, smiling at my husband, calling my mother-in-law. But inside, it was cold calculation. First thing, I opened an account at a credit union under my maiden name, Jenkins. I started direct depositing a portion of my check there, $500 here, $300 there, so Drayton wouldn't notice. Then I contacted a notary in Decatur. I needed to ensure Big Ma's condo was legally airtight. "Ms. Jenkins," the notary said, "inheritance received during marriage is considered separate property. Your spouse has no claim to this property." Perfect. I had somewhere to go. The handwriting analysis came back. Official conclusion. The signature on the loan agreement was not executed by Isha Vance. Signs of imitation are present. I locked the report in the safe at work. It was my ace in the hole. Jamila helped me navigate the legal weeds. "Listen," she said one day, "about your current condo. You paid the down payment? Every cent, before the wedding, and I paid the mortgage alone. Can you prove it?" "I have every statement, Every transfer came from my personal account. Drayton didn't put in a dime. Jamila nodded. Then we can argue that the condo is your separate property, not marital assets. It's tough, but if you have the paper trail for the down payment, we can win. One more thing, Jamila added. You said he gambled away 20 grand and racked up debts. That's dissipation of marital assets. If we prove he wasted family money on gambling without your consent, the judge can award you a larger share of the remaining assets. I wrote it all down. At home, I played the role of the dutiful wife. It was hard looking at Drayton, knowing he was a thief and a liar. But I handled it. Accountants know how to keep a poker face. Drayton suspected nothing. He actually seemed happier, probably thinking the loan issue had blown over. One evening he said, "Ish, I was thinking. Maybe we should buy a new car. You've wanted one for a while." I almost laughed. A car? With what money? The money he gambled away? "We'll think about it," I said calmly. "And Mama asked for help with some house paperwork, something about taxes." "What paperwork?" "I don't know. She'll explain it." 2 days later, Althea called. "Ish, baby. Come over Saturday. Need to discuss something important." I went. She met me at the door, looking spry and healthy, no trace of the back pain she usually moaned about. Come in. You want some sweet tea?" We sat in the kitchen. Althea pulled out a folder. "Look, I want to transfer the deed to the house." "Transfer it? To who?" "To Drayton. I'm getting old, Ish. You never know what might happen. I want to put it in his name." I looked at the papers. It was a solid brick house with a big yard. In this market, worth at least $350,000. "And what do you want from me?" "You're the accountant." She smiled, showing gold teeth. "Check the papers and—" She lowered her voice. "We need a loan. A home equity loan." I went cold. "A loan? Why?" "To help Drayton. He has an important project. And for repairs." A project. Drayton and projects were like oil and water. How much? $50,000. $50,000 against the house. I started to see the scheme. And who is taking out the loan? Drayton, of course, since he'll be the owner. So that was it. She wanted to transfer the house to her son, have him take out a massive loan against the equity. If Drayton couldn't pay, and he definitely couldn't, the bank would take the house. But by then, Althea would have the cash. She was setting up her own son. "I need to look this over," I said. "This is serious." "Sure, look it over, but don't take too long. I already talked to the bank. The rates are good." I went home in shock. Althea was worse than I thought. She wasn't just using me. She was ready to drown her own son for money. I told Jamila. "That's predatory lending fraud," she said. "If she takes the money knowing she won't pay it back. Plus, hiding assets to avoid debt collection. Your mother-in-law is digging her own grave." "What do I do?" "Nothing yet. Watch. Gather info." I started watching. Drayton was going out more in the evenings. "Meeting the boys," he said. He'd come back late, smelling like cologne that wasn't his. One night, I followed him. He left the house at 8. He took an Uber. I followed in my car. He got out downtown near a trendy lounge. I watched from across the street. He met a girl. Young, maybe 25, bright blonde weave, tight dress. They hugged. Not like friends, like lovers. I took photos. Then more photos when they kissed. Then more when they walked out holding hands. Adultery. Another item on my list. I didn't feel pain. Maybe the old me would have, but now it was just another line item on the spreadsheet of his betrayal. I looked her up on social media. Chantel Williams, worked at a boutique, liked expensive things, probably believed Drayton was a visionary artist about to blow up. Classic. I checked his phone again. The texts with Chantel were under the name Pizza Hut. Chantel, "Baby, when you leaving her?" Drayton, "Soon, sunshine. Just gotta handle some business." Chantel, "You've been saying that for 6 months. I'm tired of waiting." Drayton, "Just wait." I'm gonna have money soon. Big money. We'll start a new life. Money? The 50 grand from the house loan. Drayton. Mama's helping me. We selling some stuff, but Isha can't know. Chantel. What about your wife? Drayton. She won't do nothing. She's stupid. She won't even understand what happened. Stupid. He called me stupid. I took screenshots, added them to the folder. The next 2 weeks were like living on a powder keg. I had to wait for Althea to prep the house papers, but I was terrified they'd pull the trigger before I could strike. Jamila helped me build the timeline. It was impressive. Forgery, felony theft, dissipation of assets, adultery, Social Security fraud, attempted mortgage fraud. You know what? Jamila said. You need a shark. Not just a lawyer, a shark. I know a woman. Mrs. Holloway. She eats cheating husbands for breakfast. I met Mrs. Holloway 2 days later. She was in her 50s, impeccably dressed, with eyes that missed nothing. I showed her everything. She looked through the binder silently. Then she removed her glasses. Ms. Vance, you have a loaded gun here. Several, actually. The question is, what do you want? Justice. Justice is vague. Be specific. You want him in jail? You want the money back? You want the condo? I want the condo. It's my home. The money? I doubt I'll get it back. He's broke. But I want him to answer for what he did. And his mother, too. All right. Here's the strategy. First, file a police report for identity theft and forgery. That starts the criminal case against Drayton. Second, simultaneously file for divorce. Cite adultery and financial fraud. Third, alert the bank about the fraudulent equity loan application. That stops the money. Fourth, tip off the Social Security Administration regarding Althea. The key, Mrs. Holloway said, is to do it all at once. Shock and awe. I advise you, she added, move out before you file. You have a place? Yes, my grandmother's place. Go there. Take all documents and valuables. When your husband finds out about the police report, he might become unpredictable. She was right. I spent the next week moving things out quietly. Just a box here and there. Documents, jewelry, clothes. I took them to Jamila's garage. I didn't touch the new bank account. I went to Big Ma's condo on the weekend, told Drayton I was visiting a friend in Savannah. He didn't care. The condo was small but cozy. I walked through the rooms, touching Big Ma's old Bible on the shelf, her ceramic figurines. Thank you, Big Ma, I whispered. You saved me. I cleaned, aired it out, made the bed. I had my sanctuary. The moment came 10 days later. Drayton came home beaming. Eesh! Great news! What? Mama signed everything. The house is in my name. We go to the bank tomorrow for the loan. My blood ran cold. They were doing it. Tomorrow? Yep, 50,000. Imagine! He was like a kid on Christmas. Drayton, I said carefully, are you sure? A loan against a house is risky. Don't worry. If I can't pay, Mama will help. It's temporary. My project is about to take off. Okay, I said. Whatever you say. That night, when he slept, I texted Mrs. Holloway. They go to the bank tomorrow. Understood. I'll contact the bank's fraud unit first thing in the morning. File the police report the day after. Everything was going according to plan. The next morning, Drayton left to pick up Althea. I stayed home, claiming a migraine. As soon as he left, I packed the rest of my things, my laptop, the expensive blender I bought, my car keys. I looked at the condo one last time. 7 years of my life. Wasted? No. I learned. I learned how to spot a lie. I learned how to be ruthless. I left my key on the kitchen counter and walked out. I would never sleep here again as his wife. That evening, Drayton called. He sounded scared. Ishe, where are you? Work trip, I lied. Why? We were at the bank. They denied the loan, said there was a flag on the property, suspected fraud. What is going on? I don't know, Drayton. And, he stammered, the police called me. They want me to come in tomorrow. Something about a personal loan? You'll handle it, I said. I have to go. I hung up. Sitting in Big Ma's living room, I smiled. Tomorrow, I file for divorce. Tomorrow, Drayton finds out his wife isn't stupid. The next morning, I was sitting in Detective Barnes's office. He was a heavy-set brother with tired eyes. So, Ms. Vance, you claim your husband took out a loan in your name? Yes. Here is the handwriting analysis, not my signature. He read it. You ordered this yourself? Yes, but I'm ready to do an official one. We'll need that. He made a note. Anything else? My husband drained our joint account of $20,000. Gambling. I slid the screenshots across the desk. And here is the transaction history. You had access to his phone? We're married. He gave me the passcode. Barnes nodded. All right, we'll open a case. Forgery and theft by deception. Your husband will be brought in for questioning. He already got a call, I said. From the fraud unit at the bank regarding a different matter. Now he has two problems. Barnes looked at me with a hint of respect. You know he's facing real time? You prepared to testify? I am. I've seen a lot of messy breakups, Barnes said, leaning back. But I ain't never seen a file this organized. You really came prepared. From the precinct, I went to the courthouse to meet Mrs. Holloway. We filed for divorce. We attached everything. The mortgage records proving I paid everything, the proof of my down payment from separate funds, the gambling records. The court date is in a month, Mrs. Holloway said, but we filed an emergency motion to freeze assets. He can't sell anything. By evening, I was exhausted but satisfied. The machine was running. Drayton blew up my phone, text after text. Ish, where are you? Police are asking crazy questions. Why aren't you answering? Then, an hour later, they said you filed a report. Is this true? Ish? I didn't reply. Then Althea called. Her voice was screeching. Ish, what have you done? My son is at the police station because of you. Althea, I said calmly, your son committed a felony. He forged my signature. What felony? He was trying to help the family. Stealing from his wife to gamble on DraftKings is helping the family. Silence. What gambling? You're lying. I have the receipts, Althea. 20 grand. And, I continued, tomorrow the Social Security Administration receives a tip about your disability. The one that stops you from working, but lets you lift mulch and drive a new car. The silence on the line was deafening. You wouldn't dare. Already did. I sent the video. This is blackmail. No, Althea, this is consequences. You used me for 7 years. You called me stupid. You tried to scam the bank with your house. It's over. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but my soul felt light. The next few weeks were a blur of legal proceedings. Drayton tried to deny it, but the evidence was overwhelming. The bank footage showed him taking the cash. The handwriting expert confirmed the forgery. I didn't know it was illegal, he shouted in the deposition. We're married. What's hers is mine. Detective Barnes didn't blink. Forging a signature is a crime, son. Marriage don't change that. Drayton was charged. Meanwhile, the Social Security investigation hit Althea hard. They called her in for an independent medical exam. She tried to fake the limp, but the doctors saw right through it. The MRI showed a healthy spine for a woman her age. The video of her lifting heavy boxes sealed her fate. She was ordered to pay back over $30,000 in benefits. The divorce court date arrived. I sat next to Mrs. Holloway. Drayton looked terrible. Thin, ash-gray skin, wearing a cheap suit. He had a public defender. All rise. The judge, a black woman with stern glasses, reviewed the file. Drayton's lawyer tried to argue the condo was marital property. Mrs. Holloway stood up. Your Honor, we have proof the down payment came from Ms. Vance's premarital savings. Here are the bank statements from 2016. Furthermore, every mortgage payment was made from her personal payroll account. The respondent contributed $0. Is this true? The judge asked Drayton. I contributed to the household, Drayton stammered. Do you have receipts? No. Your Honor, Mrs. Holloway continued, we also have evidence of dissipation of assets. The respondent gambled away $20,000 of marital funds. She laid out the gambling records. And, she added, evidence of adultery. She slapped the photos of him and Chantel on the table. The judge looked at Drayton with disdain. The ruling was swift. Divorce granted. The condo was awarded solely to me as separate property. Drayton was ordered to vacate immediately. Outside the courthouse, Drayton walked up to me. "You happy?" he spat. "You destroyed me." "You destroyed yourself, Drayton. I just turned on the lights. I loved you." "You called me stupid to your side piece. You stole from me. That ain't love." "You're heartless," he said. "Mama is gonna lose everything because of you. Your mama has her own federal case to worry about." I walked to my car and didn't look back. 3 months later, the criminal cases concluded. Drayton pleaded guilty to avoid jail time. He got 3 years probation and a permanent felony record. He was ordered to pay restitution for the loan, which was transferred to his name, plus the money he stole from me. Creditors started coming out of the woodwork. He owed people all over town. He was drowning in debt. Althea got hit harder. Because it was federal fraud against the government, she got 2 years in a minimum security facility. Her house, the one she tried to leverage, was seized to pay back the government and her other debts. It was sold at auction. Chantel? The moment she found out Drayton was broke and facing charges, she vanished. I saw her on Instagram a week later with a club promoter in Miami. 6 months have passed. I'm sitting in my condo, the one I fought for, drinking coffee, watching the rain fall on the Atlanta skyline. Life is good. I got a promotion to senior accountant. My salary jumped significantly. My boss, Mr. Henderson, told me I was indispensable. I rent out Big Ma's condo for passive income. I never got the cash back that Drayton stole, but it didn't matter. I know how to make money. I know how to survive. Sometimes I wonder how it would have been if I left earlier, if I hadn't wasted 7 years. But you can't get time back. You can only learn the lesson. The doorbell rang. I opened it. It was Drayton. He looked pathetic, wet from the rain, unshaven, wearing a torn jacket. "Ishi," he rasped. "Can I come in?" "Why?" "Just to talk. Please." I stepped back, letting him into the entryway, but no further. He looked around at the furniture, the clean walls. "It's nice here," he whispered. "I miss this." "What do you want, Drayton?" He swallowed hard. "I lost everything, Ishi. Mama is in prison. The house is gone. I'm sleeping on my cousin's couch, and he's kicking me out tomorrow. No one will hire me with a felony record." He looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Take me back, Ish, please. I've changed. I'll work. I'll pay you back. You know me. I'm not a bad man. I just got lost." I looked at him silently. I used to love this man. I used to believe in his potential, but that was a different life. "You know, Drayton," I said softly, "when you forged my signature, you were betting on me being weak. You were betting on me being the stupid wife who would just clean up your mess." He looked down. "I was wrong." "Yes, you were. But the real issue is that for 7 years you ate my food, lived in my house, spent my money, and thought you were entitled to it." I opened the door. "Now it's your turn to pay the bill. Build your own life. Without me. Ish, please." "Goodbye, Drayton." He stood there for a moment, hope dying in his eyes. Then he turned and walked out into the rain. I closed the door and locked the deadbolt. Click. I leaned my back against the door and took a deep breath. No regret, no pity, just relief. My phone buzzed. A text from Jamila. "Girl, you coming to the holiday party? The new CFO is going to be there. Heard he's single and handsome." I smiled and typed back, "I'm coming. But don't try to set me up. I'm focusing on me. Understood. But looking is free. Looking, maybe later. Right now, I have myself, my home, my career, and my peace. And that is worth more than anything I had for the last 7 years." I walked to the window and watched a figure hunching against the rain, walking down the street toward nowhere. I turned away and went to the kitchen. The kettle was whistling. My life was just beginning. Did you like the story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.